Do not say about those who are killed for the sake of Allah that they are dead. Indeed, they are alive, but you cannot really comprehend that. You cannot feel that. And we said before this, the shuhada, those who die in the battlefield for the sake of Allah, or in different ways, but especially those who die in the battlefield, they do not go to the barzakh. Their souls go to reside in the seven heavens with the angels and the prophets. So that's an honor for them. And we know we said Shaheed does not get a ghusl, and his kafan will be his own clothes that he was wearing. And he will be buried in the battlefield where he's killed. So these things are special for the shuhada. And the next ayah, we shall test you with some. And by the way, this word with some is a comfort, because the ayah is, I find it to be very difficult, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I will test you with fear, hunger, and the decrease of money, souls, and fruits. Fruits means outcome, results of your work. You might do something and you don't get the reward for it. And give the glad tidings to those who are patient. But the word bishay makes a big difference. Bishay means with some, not much, just a little bit. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very merciful. Yet we ask Allah not to be tested anyway, because we are fragile, we are weak. But this is what Allah is saying. With some fear, hunger, decrease of money, souls, and thamarat. Now, of course, Allah defines the sabirin by those who say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, whenever they are being tested. We belong to Allah, and to Him our return is going to be. So this is the statement that you should say. And like we said again, may Allah not test us. We are too weak. But that is the statement, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Unfortunately, in our culture, we only say this when somebody dies. They tell you somebody died, you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. But Allah is not talking about death here. He's talking about any kind of test, tribulation you might be going through. You say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And the reward, Allah will give you salawat, not only one salah. And the salah of Allah, now this can take a while, but I'm not going to spend much time on this ayah. Because salah, when it comes from Allah, this is a connection from Allah, and can be in many different forms. Can be mercy, can be blessing, can be reward, can be many things. So salawat is plural, which means you're going to get all of it. Plus rahmah. So special rahmah for those, mercy, for those who can be patient at the time of tribulation. And those are the ones who are guided. Now, we notice Allah goes back to talking about Hajj and Umrah. Before he was talking about Hajj and Umrah, and then he talks about this, and then he goes back to talk about Hajj and Umrah. It's like an indication, if you're going through some difficult time, go do Umrah or Hajj if you can, and make dua there. Inshallah, the situation will get better. So indeed, the Safa wal Marwa from the rituals of Allah. So this is the Hajj that Allah is talking about here. And whoever wants to do tatawwu', again, these are the rituals of Hajj. I'm not going to spend much time. And then those who conceal what we have sent down of bayinat and huda, clear proofs and guidance. We talked about this before, the Jews and the Christians, and even today, unfortunately, some Muslims who have knowledge, but they conceal that knowledge because it doesn't go well with their desires. Their punishment will be, and this is, by the way, you don't have to be a scholar. Even if you are just a seeker of knowledge, you have a little bit of knowledge. If you conceal it, you don't share it with others, you don't give it to those who need it, then this is the punishment. أُولَٰئِكَ يَلْعَنُهُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَلْعَنُهُمُ اللَّاعِنُونَ. The curse of Allah be upon them, and the curse of those who curse. Now, again, I don't want to spend much time. Who are the cursers, those who curse? They will be mentioned later. Except, of course, those who do tawbah, and then they do islah, they repair, they undo the damage they have done, and then they explain وَبَيَّنُوا. So that you still have to give people the knowledge that Allah gave you. And those are the ones that Allah accepts their repentance. Indeed, those who die and they are kuffar and they die in the state of kufr, Now this curse, the la'na, is forever. And we explained before, curse means the opposite of mercy. Not like, the traditional language, when you're cursing at someone, that means you are cussing them out. No, the curse of Allah means there will be no mercy for them. And the angels and even the people, because the kafir not only harms himself, he harms the people around him. So on the day of judgment, even the people around that kafir will be cursing at him. And that will be forever, of course, because of what they died in that state. Your Lord is only one. There is no God but He, and He is the most merciful. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the separation between night and day, and the ship that runs or sails in the sea with what is beneficial to the people, and the rain that Allah sends down to revive the earth after it had died, and He created all the animals and directed the wind and created the clouds, which are given special command. Musakhar means not random. Sahab al-Musakhar, those clouds were given commands by Allah. Which way should they go? Many times you see clouds forming in one area and the rain coming down in a different area. All these are ayat for those who use their brain. Basically, Allah is saying, look around you and see all these signs. You should easily find out that there is a creator behind all that. Some people who take aside from Allah partners, they give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala partners, and they love these partners as much as they love Allah or even more. So, of course, Allah is talking about shirk here, people who worship gods plus Allah. They give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala partners. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want their love. Allah wants the love of the believers. And those people, if only they can see what's going to happen for them on the day of judgment, when they see that all of their partners will not be able to help them. On the day of judgment, the leaders will say to their followers, of course, the leaders of misguidance, the leaders of the oppressors, the leaders who take their followers astray, they will say to their followers on the day of judgment, we have nothing to do with you. Of course, because again, the leaders will have to answer for their followers, and their followers will have to answer for themselves as well. So just because you were following someone blindly, that will not be accepted on the day of judgment. But the leader who is misguiding others, his punishment or her punishment will be even more. And then the followers will say to Allah, if you give us only a chance, going back to the dunya, so we say the same thing now they are saying to us. We have nothing to do with you. And of course, they will both be cursing at each other, like we just said, and they will regret that they followed them. But that's not going to change anything. They are not coming out of hellfire. O people, eat from what I have given you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, in the earth, it's all halal, it's all tayyib, pure. We know the rule in Islam, everything is halal unless proven otherwise. It's not the other way around. Not everything haram until proven otherwise. And do not follow the footsteps of the shaitan. Shaitan always tries to take us again astray, one step at a time. He has nothing else to do. So even if it's going to take him years, he has the patience because again, he has nothing else to do. He only orders you to do su and fahsha. Su, something bad. Fahsha, something really bad. So for shaitan, he doesn't care really. He just wants you to do something bad. He will try maybe to convince you to do something really bad. But if you could resist that, he will say, okay, something a little bad at least. As long as you're doing something bad, he's okay. And one of the things that he wants you to do is to say something about Allah without knowledge. And this is very dangerous because this is aqeedah. We talked about this in the aqeedah class. You speak about Allah without knowledge, like saying Allah is everywhere. Where did you get that from? You are speaking about Allah and Allah's attributes without knowledge. That is very dangerous. So this is from the shaitan. And this, by the way, comes even after fahsha. If you want to say that they are in order, smaller to bigger sin, su, kind of small bad deed. فحشاء, big bad deed, that bad deed. And تقول على الله ما لا تفعلون, even major bad deed. To speak and say things about Allah without knowledge. This is very dangerous. Okay. Of course, not only the Muslims that they say about Allah, saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a son or has a daughter or giving him partners. This is all bad, but for us, Aqidah is very important. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Whenever they are being instructed, told to follow what Allah has sent down, they said, we follow what we found our forefathers doing. And again, this is not only for the Christians and the Jews, even the Muslims. And the ayah is very clear. Follow what Allah has sent down. He did not say follow any imam or any madhab or any way. Very simple. Follow what Allah has sent down. Ma anzal Allah, which is Quran and Hadith. They will say we follow what we found our forefathers doing blindly. And Allah is saying, what if their forefathers were crazy? لا يعقلون شيئا. If you, God forbid, your father is insane, you still follow him blindly? So this is an example Allah is giving. What if their fathers did not know anything and they were not guided? And the example of the kafaru, those who disbelieve, is like someone who makes that noise of the goat without understanding what he's saying, just to make noise. Basically, some people just want to make noise. And this is, by the way, worrisome, because isn't there a lot of people who read, Quran, Hadith, and they do not know what they're saying? Of course, it's not the same. It's not bad. Reading the Quran without understanding still gives you some reward, but that should be temporary. You should be working on learning the Quran. I mean, would you want to recite any book without understanding what you're saying? So they are deaf, mute, and blind. Then they do not use their brains. Of course, this ayah is not talking about the Quran. This ayah is talking about the kuffar, those who disbelieve, who only make noises like goats, like animals, without understanding what they're saying. But I like always to try to benefit ourselves, that you should always try to learn the meaning of the Quran. But that does not mean you stop reciting the Quran. And like some people, I have seen them, they misunderstood me when I said that. I didn't say stop reading the Quran until you fully understand it. I said keep reading it. Even reading it without understanding will give you some barakah, some blessings and mercy from Allah. But you should be at the same time trying to learn as much as you can, so you have some understanding of the Quran in the Arabic language, of course. You can use translations again. It's still better than nothing. So next ayah. O you who have believed, eat from what we have given you, طيبات. And be thankful to Allah. This is how you show that you worship Him. He made forbidden for you, mayta, whatever was, of course, dead. And this is, I don't know, maybe answers the question, do we have to eat dabiha? If it's not dabiha, it's mayta. If they hit the animal on its head, or they shoot the animal, or they kill the animal in any way, they shock the animal is dead. So this is mayta, dead animal. والدم, blood, لحم الخنزير, the flesh of the pig. And whatever was slaughtered, but not for Allah, without saying Allah's name on it. So let's say somebody else slaughters, but they don't say Allah's name on it. But whoever was in need, somebody is going to die unless he eats this, and this is the only thing that is available, then it is okay. Allah is forgiving and merciful. We go back again talking about those who conceal Allah's verses, those who try to change the rules because يشترون به ثمنا قليلا. They get a small price for it. They benefit from it a little bit, because again, what price can be enough to go to hellfire for? Everything they eat is fire. Basically, the benefit, because there are some people who sell their religion for money. Like, unfortunately, some of the shuyukh, they give you fatwa for the price. And you think that he gave me fatwa, I don't have to fast the month of Ramadan because I have stomach pain. but he told me to give him some donation or something. Yeah, some fatwas here and there. So those people sell their religion for a cheap price. Whatever they are getting from that is only the fire. Allah will not talk to them on the day of judgment or purify them. And not talking to them is a terrible thing. When Allah says, I will not talk to them, which means they will not be given the chance to defend themselves. Those are the ones who sold guidance, which means they had it. You cannot sell something you do not own. They had guidance, but they sold it, and they bought, instead of it, they exchanged it for misguidance. And they sold the maghfirah, forgiveness, for punishment. They bought punishment and they sold forgiveness. Again, exchanged. They gave the forgiveness of Allah, they don't want it, and they took the punishment of Allah instead. They will not be able to be patient in hellfire. That is because Allah had sent down the book with the truth. And those who have disputes about the book, they are in complete shiqaq, means split, like they are so far away from the truth. That means when it comes to the Quran and the book of Allah, we should not have disputes. Maybe small differences in understanding the ayat between the mufassirin, but major differences should not be there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, true righteousness is not to direct yourself towards the right and the left, east and the west. And this is again to answer those who had a dispute about the qibla change. Do not make a big deal out of it. It's not true righteousness whether you direct yourself to the east or west. The true righteousness is to believe in Allah and the last day, the angels, the books and the prophets, and those who give them money, even though they love it. Of course, who does not love money? Everybody loves money, but some people love money more than others. The more love you have for something, the more difficult it becomes to give it away, and the more reward you get for giving it away, especially if you need it. So somebody who is a millionaire to give some money will still give them some reward, but somebody who's poor, who is donating, that will give them more reward, even though the amount might be less. And of course, you give always your kin first. Always, Dawil Qurba, always your family. If there's somebody needy, you give them money first. And then the orphans, and then the poor, and then the travelers, and then the beggars. Of course, the beggars, not every beggar. Those who you know that they are in need. Or at least, most likely you think, they are in need. And to free a slave. And again, all this is the definition of taqwa, of birr. Those who establish the prayer, they give charity, and they fulfill their promises whenever they promise. Many people make promises and they don't care about it. And those who are patient during the time of difficulty and when things get difficult, those are the ones who have fulfilled their promise. They are sadaqu, they have said the truth when they promised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to worship Him alone. And those are the true muttaqeen. Next ayah actually is interesting. It shows you that it is important to understand the Quran. I know, or I heard about a young man who left Islam because he did not understand this ayah the right way. And when it was explained to him the right way, he came back to Islam, simply. The ayah, he understood it, that if a female, for example, kills someone from somebody's tribe, that tribe has to kill a female from her tribe, not her necessarily. Of course, that would be unjust, that's absurd, that makes no sense. But that's not what the ayah is saying. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that it has been prescribed for you, qisas, that fair judgment of killing the killer. If a free man kills someone, that free man has to be killed. Doesn't matter that he's free. If a slave kills someone, his punishment is death too. Doesn't matter that he's a slave. And if a female kills someone, that female, which means the killer, should be killed. Doesn't matter that she is a female. That is the meaning of the ayah. Not killing somebody else in her place. The killer should be killed. But Allah opens here, we discussed this before, opens the option of forgiving. If you want to forgive, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that is fine. And you can do da'un ilayhi bi ihsan. You can pay some money as a ransom or compensation to the family if they decide to forgive the killer. That is because Allah wants to make things easier for you. But whoever transgress again, which means they commit another murder, then the punishment will be severe. The next ayah explains why we kill the killer, because you save other lives. When the killer kills someone, that killer might be killing another one and a third one and a fourth one. So killing the killer, you are saving many lives. The next ayah is talking about the importance of the wasiyah, the will. Everybody should have a will ready and keep it for your parents or your kins or somebody that you trust. So this is حقا على المتقين. Now, whoever was given this wasiyah, this will, to be a trust, like let's say I write my will and I give it to somebody and I say, keep it for me. And then he opens it and he changes whatever is in there. Then of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that is a sin, a big sin for those who do it. And Allah is all hearing, all knowing. Maybe I am dead. I mean, I am not, alhamdulillah, but I'm saying later on, and then somebody changes my will after I have died, there is nothing I can do. I can't come back to life and tell him, well, don't do that. But Allah is all hearing, all knowing. You cannot hide it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.